As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, the E92 is the best car ever, the pinnacle of modern luxury sport cars, with a perfectly sculpted, elegant exterior, and a wide powerhouse range of incredible motors underneath the hood, such as the F1-inspired N52 B30 and the S65 V8 motor found in this generation of M3, and then a couple other engines that are irrelevant pieces of shit. But unfortunately, those weren't the only mistakes to end up in the E92 otherwise perfect chassis. That mistake being the seatbelt butler. BMW being who they are, even over-engineered a thing that just hands you a seatbelt. As I'm sure a lot of you E92 owners know, the seatbelt arm doesn't always do what it's supposed to do, and when it doesn't work, its attempt is more of a nuisance than me just reaching around and grabbing it myself. When it works, it's great. It makes you really feel like you're in a luxury car. It's a similar type of luxury as having the guy at the valet to park your car, or open the door at a fancy restaurant, like a kind butler providing a nice complimentary service. But it's built in, hence the name Seatbelt Butler.
Good evening, sir. May I offer you your seatbelt? Of course, my pleasure, anytime. Oh yes, it is just going to ask you a couple of questions on the iDrive screen.
On second thought, perhaps we're better off without it working. Anyways, if the E92 could wipe my ass, I would have let that do it too. And I'm sure if the funding was there, they would have made that happen. It is a luxury car after all. So after a lot of research and a lot of different trial, I wanted to provide a very nonchalant fix to this common issue. So I'm sure as a lot of you know, you can buy those cheap little stick-on things that extend the arm and sometimes fix the issue. I bought a cheap set of these to try out from Amazon, and so far in my experience it was inconsistent on whether it worked or not. And aside from that, I don't really like the look. It's clearly not OEM and it kind of sticks out. There are a lot of companies that make these for a variety of prices, so if it's something that interests you and it works for you, go for it. But the reason for me making this video is because I came up with a new and cheap, easy way to fix this common issue. But before I show you that, I would like to share a bit of knowledge from my research. So majority of the time, the issue is not with the seatbelt arm extender at all, but the seatbelt itself. Over time and a lot of use, the seatbelt becomes more soft, so when the arm goes to grab it, it just folds over on itself and snaps back, because the fabric isn't as crisp as it was when it was new. And I don't think anybody would justify paying over $200 just to fix this issue. So a common thing I've read about people doing is starching and ironing their seatbelts. Yeah, maybe owner number 1 and 2 might have been businessmen, but I'm owner number 7, and if you're anything like me, I'm just a blue-collar Joe. I don't own a fucking suit, much less an iron. But if you do, or you can borrow one or whatever, maybe give it a shot. But I wouldn't count on it. It doesn't work for everybody, and it's something you might have to repeatedly do, and that's not very luxury, is it? Because like I said, this problem is because over time the seatbelt loses its rigidity and develops a crease, causing the seatbelt arm to drop it. And what I noticed about those cheap stick-on seatbelt extenders is, well, when they do grab it, they seem to fold the seatbelt even more, which is only going to make the problem worse and probably lead to it not working over time. So the solution that's really needed is the seatbelt needs to permanently be reinforced so it doesn't develop that crease. And after trying a couple different types of material, so far I found the easiest way to do this is with cheap adhesive Velcro strips. So oftentimes you can find these at your local hardware store, but I'll put the exact product that I use in the description below. So basically all that I did was I took one of the rigid sides of the Velcro strips, like the tooth side, you know what I mean, and then I cut it down roughly to the width of the seatbelt. Then I observed where the seatbelt arm is supposed to grab the seatbelt, and then stuck it on the back side so that when the grabber does grab it, it's contacting the Velcro directly. A couple things to note is that the seatbelt buckle does have to be above where the Velcro is, because although the material is thin, it's still too thick for the buckle to actually pass through it. Having the buckle rest above it is not an issue, but I have realized that if you put the adhesive strip too high, where the buckle is contacting where the seatbelt retracts, it will change the angle in which the seatbelt will naturally rest and cause the seatbelt arm to completely miss it. So once again, you need to find a sweet spot where you're reinforcing the belt in the right area, but also not pushing the buckle too high. The buckle cannot make contact with the plastic trim on the B-pillar, so it might take a little bit of trial and error, and maybe you can experiment to see how little of material you can get away with. But in my attempts, I was able to make it work consistently with just a 2 to 3 inch strip piece, which is a reference point that I'm quite familiar with. And after a lot of testing, it seems to work very consistently. The buckle being on top doesn't seem to affect anything. Let me tell you, it is a very rewarding experience every time I got the seatbelt arm to actually work. And I'd like to clarify me with my doctoral experience and research in the subject that this wasn't my first attempt at a solution, but this happened to be the cheapest and easiest one that consistently works and doesn't really jump out at you too much. Yes, Yes, even this I wish was a little bit more incognito, and I do wish the buckle could pass through it so it could sit at its normal position. But for, I don't know, $8 that I think I paid for this Velcro, it seems to be a pretty decent solution. So what I'd recommend if you want the absolute best results is maybe clean the seatbelt first so that the adhesive has a really nice place to stick to. Let it dry, of course. If you have the resources and you want to, iron out the seatbelt and then reinforce it with a Velcro. Now, I do still have other ideas that could potentially work to reinforce the seatbelt in a way that's even more incognito, but it's not going to be as easy as just sticking on a piece of Velcro. So maybe I'll save that for another day. So if you give it a shot, let me know your experience with it in the comments. Once again, I put the product in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you use that link to buy it, it helps me out a little bit without any extra cost to you. And my last point to end this video with is wear your fucking seatbelt. There's a lot of idiots on the road. It's literally life and death. I trust myself driving, but I don't trust a single person on the road that I have to share it with. Wear your fucking seatbelt. You're an idiot if you go out of the way to not wear it. Encourage your passengers to wear a seatbelt. Tell your friends, you know, it's important. As a BMW owner, you hear that chime enough, and it's just gonna chime unless you wear your seatbelt. So seriously though, just be safe out there. I hope this helps. Thanks.